Hello viewers, this is Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. I want to take a look at Julian Assange and WikiLeaks today. It's the weekend, it's Sunday here in Australia, so I know that wherever you are in whatever part of the world you're in, most likely it's a relaxing weekend for you. Now, when I posted my videos a couple of days ago, there were some viewers that felt that the arrest of Julian Assange, as we know, he was taken from the embassy in handcuffs and was arrested in the UK and most likely will be will be extradited to America. Now, we know the background with WikiLeaks in 2016, so I won't go over that. What I do want to perhaps just talk a little bit about is that WikiLeaks was founded in 2006. Viewers are concerned that in some way his extradition may have an impact on whistleblowers generally and also journalists and media freedoms, so the freedom of the press. First of all, Assange was never trained in the traditional sense as a journalist. He began his career as a software and computer programmer and developer, and he had an extremely good knack of being able to hack into particularly government systems and expose information that government would otherwise want hidden. So then he would then dump it onto the WikiLeaks site, and it was there for journalists then to take from and consume. So he was really, again, I guess, at the forefront as government was putting more and more information, databases, developing databases, etc. And we were coming into that age of social media. WikiLeaks was poised at that particular time. Now, WikiLeaks, of course, in order for it to keep operating, had to seek donations. So the point I want to make is that that Assange never ever trained as a journalist, because if he did, he would know that when he dumped that information on WikiLeaks in 2010 in its entirety, aside from obviously whistleblowing on the things that were going on there in Afghanistan, he also put lives in danger. So as a journalist, journalists have been trained to vet information from that they obtain in the course of their profession, so that it doesn't harm it doesn't harm anyone, and they work because they're given so often their leaked information. They have to really bring that information forward in a very responsible way. So that was 2010. The information, he did do a whistleblowing duty or function in 2010. There was no doubt that there were wrongdoings going on there at that time. In 2016, fast forward to 2016, we have him again. Well, no, I'd say again, because we don't know he worked with the Russians in 2010, do we? But in 2016, we know that he did. He was working with the Russians to publish that information, the emails that the Russians had obtained from the DNC server, and that was published at a critical time, which potentially swayed the election. So my questions are this: what went wrong with WikiLeaks? What was Assange's original motivation? What was his motivation in 2016? Because I think that's entirely different to perhaps what it was in 2006. And then I want to ask, is he in the employ of the Russians? Okay, so was he paid, in other words, paid to do what he did? And potentially we can look at 2010. Who was Assange acting for then? Okay, so let's get started with the first question. I also want to say here, we should not forget that Assange was wanted in Sweden originally for an alleged rape. And I did read the story from the alleged victim in relation to Assange. So we mustn't forget that as well. All right. So is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? Well, you make your own mind up. I won't. We'll see what the cards have to say. So let's have a look. What was Assange's motivation? Oh, I'm just getting very strong ego. He's always been heavily driven by ego. What was Assange's motivation in 2006 when he first started WikiLeaks? Assange, WikiLeaks. Yeah, like there was that thrill of the chase too. As a young boy, he was so very clever, and he got into systems ahead. You know, when computer hacking. So he was sort of when computer hacking was at the beginning, at the forefront of it. Or what we would consider as today's cyber warfare, or not cyber warfare, but cyber crimes, I guess you could call it. And he positioned himself as a whistleblower. So he was he was a success. He was very, very successful. And as I said, he had legions of fans back in 2006. What was his original motivation? WikiLeaks. What was his original motivation? Did WikiLeaks take a wrong turn? Did it morph into something else? Did intentions, motivations change? What was his original motivation? What do we need to know? Okay, let's have a look. All right, so straight up we've got the Princess of Pentacles here, and this is around money, but it's also I think in the beginning trying to take down big moneyed influences. But what did it become as time wore on? I'll just bring the laptop down. So we've got the Princess of Pentacles, or the Page of Pentacles here. And, you know, there's a contemplation aspect to this, and the princess is reasonably naive. It's not a knight, it's not a king, it's not an emperor. We've got, I think, the young Julian Assange here. Okay, his challenge right now is that he is in way over his head, and this is Assange. For whatever his alleged crimes, this is what is keeping him up at night. It's also, I guess, did he act responsibly? Is his slate clean? I'm not sure. Certainly he put in danger lives through that 2010 dump. Okay, right now the foundation of the reading is he's caught. He's likely going to go to prison. Without a doubt, he's likely going to go to prison. Okay, in the past, this is interesting because it's commerce and expansion, and this is where my gut feeling seems to take over. At some point, WikiLeaks went from a nerdy, clever computer hacker to a business, potentially, I would allege, we haven't read on that, but potentially in the employ of various foreign governments to basically hurt other governments or fulfill other agendas here. Now, there's loss here for Assange. He lived by the sword. And this, I do think, is the hacking in 2016 as well. He played his part. And in this card, this is a cloaked figure. We can't see their face. This is the anonymity of what Assange does. Okay, so we've got the truth here. In the hacking, what he's bringing forward is information here, and he's also bringing forward conflict. So it's using truth as a weapon. This is the Druid Craft Tarot deck, which I bought the other day. I was in a shop getting some essential essences, and this deck jumped out at me. It's actually a 2004 deck, and I just want to give the artists some credit. Philip and Stephanie Cargom. Okay, it's a Druid deck, Celtic deck. Okay, so it's drawing on all those ancient archetypes. So this is Excalibur, the truth being used as a weapon. All right. Julian at the moment, Assange at the moment, he's waiting for results. This is the Two of Wands, and I think also he's maybe expecting someone to come to his rescue. That's there's an element of that expectation here. The environment around him, yep. This is loans and debts, but it's also giving and receiving help. He is expecting help from somebody. Who's he expecting help from? Or who is he in debt to? Yeah. So hopes and fears. He's got monumental forces weighing on him. This is also the card of a compromise, and this is in the fear position. He might actually flip if he gets to America, and he is. I think Robert Mueller does. I'm not sure if there's an indictment there for publishing that information, but if there's not, there most certainly will be. He might flip, which is why Putin's rattling the cage. I guess demanding that his Assange's human rights be adhered to. Now, he wanted to win. This is the outcome card, the Six of Wands, the victory card. So he was using initially, what was his motivation? He was using the truth as a weapon, and he was in a position of power. And this goes back to the young nerd that hacked, I think, when he was a teenager, hacked into, government computer networks, and even seasoned computer professionals within government were actually shocked at how he could actually pull this one off. And I do feel that there is a strong ego element in what he does. But yes, he was there to win. He was there to win, and it put him in a powerful position. Judgment is coming for him right now. This is the card of something ending. Can also mean at the end of something new starts. So it can be positively aspected as well. Who knows what Assange is going to do when he is in prison, whether he will take that deal, whether WikiLeaks will be behind him, who knows, but there is a huge crossroads looming in his life, and potentially he's going to have to pay. He's going to have to pay for breaking the law. This is the Ten of Wands. Now, Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, where did it go wrong? This reading's quite revealing. I think it started with Assange wanting to bring forward the truth. This reading does indicate that at some point there was a consideration around money here. And that's where I want to go to. I want to see if whose payroll he's on. He's definitely going to end up incarcerated, and it's going to be quite a heavy load. He's going to face judgment. It's going to be hard for him, but something else is going to come that's new out of that. This won't be the end of the road for Julian Assange. He will probably in some way, once he does whatever, pays it, whatever penalties that he has to do, any prison time he has to do. When he does emerge, there will be new things on the horizon for him. He is expecting some kind of help. That's what this reading is saying. Where did he go wrong? Ego or money? This reading is seeming to say. Where would the world be without whistleblowers? We would be in a we would be poorer for them. But I think Assange left the original motivation. Certainly truth was weaponized. I think he might have left that a long time ago, because I do feel that he has been paid in some way by foreign governments for the work that he does. because there's that money card, and that's the question we're going to ask now. Drill down a little bit more. Also, this is the card of expansion, overseas expansion. When he was a teenager, hacking into those Australian government computer networks, he did have an eye on expansion. I think WikiLeaks was launched from Iceland, I think it was launched overseas. So he quickly morphed off the shores of Australia and took his work internationally, didn't he? Okay, so, all right. All right. So did Assange, was Assange bankrolled by Russia? That's my feeling, that he was he was employed, if you like, well, these are my impressions of in the tarot reading. He was employed by foreign governments. Okay, so what I'm getting also is that doesn't apply to every whistleblower, and it doesn't apply to even those that support WikiLeaks and work for WikiLeaks. But I'm talking about Assange's motivation now. Was Assange paid by Russia, supported and paid by Russia? Assange paid for the work that he did in 2016. Was he paid by Russia? All right, let's have a look here. The Four of Wands. Okay, so this is around celebrations. This is potentially can be a yes card, but we let the reading unfold before we get ahead of ourselves. So we've got the Four of Wands here, celebrations. These are events, weddings, births, family stuff, family reunions, but mainly this card has a strong sense of gathering for a celebration. Ooh. His challenge is the Tower, ruination, which is interesting because this could actually be what situation he is in now. Is he in any danger? That's a question we would have to ask. So we've got the imprisonment card here at the moment, or the restriction card. Okay. Secrets to be revealed. He's certainly got something on somebody. Vladimir Putin, perhaps, and the Five of Cups here, the hooded figure, loss. Yeah, manipulation. All right, so it is pointing to what occurred in 2016. Manipulation to avoid loss. Celebrations, which is a gathering where people would be celebrating. Restricting somebody, potentially him now, but also restricting who? Restricting somebody in 2016, and we've got manipulation in the Two of Pentacles. This is also a money card as well. The King of Pentacles is coming forward. That's in the present situation. Now this could, not the present, but him now, Assange now. This could actually be Trump, but it could also be Putin as well. A business person. The Ace of Wands, the environment around Assange. Okay, so new projects, new starts, potentially commissioned by the King of Pentacles. Does Trump know more than he is letting on? In the, of course, yes, he does. In the hopes and fears, we've got the Hanged Man. This is the fear. I'm just getting drawn to Trump. I feel Trump is quite fearful of what Assange could eventually say. But I also feel that Assange maybe, we'll ask the question, maybe, I don't know, threatened by Russia perhaps. And the Two of Wands, waiting for results. So it's a waiting game now. It's a waiting game. Yeah. The money that he was potentially paid. And the Queen of Pentacles, yeah. Okay. So lots of pentacles in this reading. I asked if he was paid. There's manipulation here. There's loss, secrets, revealing the secrets, gathering around and celebrating. He was challenged by the Tower card, which I'm just unsure of at the moment. That could be for Assange. There could, there could. Well, it's his downfall, isn't it? Okay, yeah. All right. It's 2016. Digging up the secrets. Those who benefited from those secrets being revealed was celebrating. That's going to cause Assange's downfall at the moment. That's what he's challenged by. There was restriction for somebody in 2016. There is restriction for him now. Now, this is where I feel it starts to talk speaks directly to me about Russia, Assange, Trump, and money. So we've got the election loss, and we've got someone juggling here, and potential manipulation. And then we've got the King of Pentacles here, and the environment around to give somebody a new start here. Also, Assange being inspired to give this person a new start. This was a project he was given, potentially, either by someone, either by Putin or, but it certainly was to benefit the King of Pentacles, who could be Trump. Whether Trump directly paid or not paid Assange, it looks like somebody has here. This could have been Russia. Now we've got the results here, waiting for results, potentially influencing results, and then we start to get these money cards. Was he paid by Russia? Okay, financial resources, financial security. In this, there's a consideration here, a consideration of the monetary exchange in any sort of offer. This is sort of like a contract. This is speaking to me as the kind of consideration you would give to completing a contract, and the kind of payment here that you might get. So I'm feeling that whose payroll was Assange on? He was certainly on someone's payroll to reveal secrets in 2016. So let's just look at whether or not. Yeah, I guess the difference between WikiLeaks, I guess, or Assange, because Assange is WikiLeaks now, isn't he? And someone like your ACLU, is that you've got a voluntary, and then you've got something that's actually ungoverned, a one-man show, a man who obviously has a huge ego. We've seen that demonstrated before, and a man who has wanted in a number of countries for one way or another breaking the law. But I do feel in 2016, these cards are indicated, or my impressions are, he was on Russia's payroll. Okay, to cause that loss. Now, if that's the case, now there was that Tower card there that bothers me. I mean, clearly Assange is going to prison, but or likely to, or could go to prison. Is Assange in? Well, first of all, yes, no, Spirit. Will Assange? I'll just give these a good shuffle. They're huge cards, and they're very difficult for my hands to shuffle. I mean, there we go. That's given them a good shuffle. Okay. They're hard to work with because they're so big, but very good to look at visually. Okay. Let's ask if Assange will flip. That will be our next question. And then we'll ask if he's in any danger. His energy nowadays is a little bit weasel-like. It wasn't always like that. He was like the knight, you know, brandishing his Excalibur sword back in you know, when WikiLeaks first started. But that's long. That energy's long since gone. All right. Well, that's my belief anyway. And as I said, he didn't train as a journalist. This, you know, we've got actually we've got an article. I'll put a couple of articles in the links page for you, the links section underneath the reading. I've got two articles. Why do Russian journalists keep falling? And that's around dozens and dozens of journalists have been killed in Russia, mysteriously, you know, snuffed out since Putin took over. It's actually a cause of concern. The International Journalists Association, or an association that represents journalists worldwide, has actually lodged multiple protests. I've been following this for a while. I think I told you, didn't I, that I had well, let's just say someone that I knew who was Ukrainian born, and her best friend was a journalist who was shot by Putin. So, yeah. So, okay. So, also, the other link that I'll give you to is Peter Grest. He's the founding director and spokesman for the Alliance for Journalist Freedom, and also the UNESCO Chair in Journalism and Communication at the University of Queensland in Australia. Peter was captured. I'm not sure if you remember. Peter is, as I said, an Australian journalist captured working for Al Jazeera, and he was captured a few years ago by the Egyptian government and imprisoned. He would not reveal his sources, and he stayed in prison. You know, at one stage undergoing a trial, potentially facing the you know, facing execution, etc. The Australian government worked long and hard to free him, and he's back in Australia now. He knows a thing or two about journalists and media freedom. Now, the link that I'm going to point to in the section below the video, he's written for The Age, which is our sort of like your New York Times, Washington Post type publication. And he says, Julian Assange is no journalist. Don't confuse his arrest with press freedom. So I'm going to leave those things for you to read. Let's see if Julian Assange will flip. Julian Assange will flip. Yeah. He's you know, it's hard not to have compassion for him. You know, it's a real downfall. I'm keeping that Tower card, but that's his journey there. That's as a result of the decisions that he's made and the paths that he's taken, the choices that he's made. The choices that he's made. That's very important to remember. Okay, so will he flip? Yes, no, Spirit. Will Julian Assange flip? All right, we've got the Ace of Cups. This is around emotional, new emotional starts. It's actually a yes card. I think he's going to give up some information for sure. That's what these cards are saying. The Queen of Cups is around compassion. It's also around support. But this card also, if you notice, in other decks, it's got, in the Rider-Waite deck, it's got the lid on it. One of the few cups that does, suggesting that something is going to be revealed. In this deck, in my Druid deck, you'll see the moon there, which is straight above the cup, suggesting that something is going to be revealed here as well. She's dipping her toe into the water here. This is some kind of information that will balance things out a little bit more. And we've got the Six of Cups going back to the past. He's going to be giving up some information on something that occurred in the past. Okay, the Eight of Wands. It seems that the information that he's got to give is quite important, and a lot of information will come forward here. And quite quickly as well. So I don't feel that he's going to... I think he's going to do a deal. in some way, and I don't think it's going to be long before he decides to give it up. We've got endings and beginnings here directly under the information. This also is of world importance here, or information that is going to be revealed that's important on the world stage or globally. Could also be information about foreign countries. And we've got the Princess of Swords, which equates to the Page of Swords, which is one of my favourite cards because it talks about prizing open the truth. And it's sitting right underneath the Six of Cups, which takes us back to the past here, a reunion with the past, and prizing open the truth. So the way that I'm looking at it here, he is going to flip. He's going to flip. Okay, now is he in any danger? Because that's what Vladimir Putin. It is getting dark here. The light is fading. Let's just see if I can. All right. Well, let's just ask if he's in any danger. I'll just give these a good shuffle. Okay, is Assange in any danger from Vladimir Putin, given everything we know? Yeah, I think that's why he's going to flip, because he is. Okay, but don't forget he got that rebirth card, so while judgment is coming for him, there's also potentially new starts. I mean, 7 years, they cut off the electricity in the Ecuadorian embassy. There's some dreadful tales about, the smell and the conditions that he was living in. So maybe, like Chelsea Manning, there can be new starts here for Assange at the end of the day when he pays whatever penalties he needs to pay. Okay, so for his part in 2016. All right, so is he worried about Russia? Is he under threat? Any threat from Russia? Okay, so, all right, so we've got the Hangman here. So this is an impasse. It's also got some pretty horrible imagery here as well. The Seven of Wands, yeah. This is the thief coming in the night here. This is also this is self-defense as well. If you can see that, you've got, he's actually standing and he's ready to, he's got his wand poised to harm those soldiers there. Hanged Man, Seven of Wands, sorry, not the Seven of Swords, Seven of Wands, defending himself. But there are new beginnings for him, so I think he's going to be okay, and I think this is why he's going to flip. The Six of Pentacles, giving and receiving help. Yep, I think he's going to give up. I'll just bring this down. I think he's going to give up the information that he needs to give up. But it is saying that there's going to be, he's going to really need to defend himself in some way. Yeah, the Prince of Swords. Okay, this is a soldier going into battle here. This is directly under the need for self-defense. And the King of Pentacles. Well, this card came up in the last reading and we thought it might have been Vladimir Putin. It usually is my trump card, but I guess in this case, if you've got Putin meddling in the 2016 elections in order to get Trump elected, they're one in the same, really. Okay. We've got the world card, the foreign aspect here. The Five of Pentacles. This is somebody who's excluded from something, excluded from help, under quite a lot of duress. multiple, I guess, choices weighing on him, the pressure that he will be under. Okay, so what this reading is saying is that even if he was under threat, which it seems to be, there is a threat there, it's never going to get past the keeper. Because if he does get extradited to the US, he's going to be in. If he does flip my feeling is part of that deal will be to ensure his safety there. Okay, so that's probably enough on WikiLeaks. Started out as a incredibly inspired, energetic, albeit egotistic young teenager with a incredibly high IQ and a knack. He was a software and computer programmer and developer, an incredible knack for hacking, computer hacking. And it kind of morphed into something else along the way. 2006 it was founded. We're now in 2019. At some point in time, foreign governments, Assange threw his lot in with, Russia, who knows, other foreign governments, and those information releases were designed to fit a particular agenda of another government, and these tarot cards are indicating that there was payment there for the work done. So, as I said, these are just my impressions from tarot cards, but they do maybe if there's not the whole truth there, there's certainly some glimmers of it, as much as there can be in any divination that we do. So I hope you enjoyed that reading on WikiLeaks, where did it all go wrong, and the current status of Julian Assange, who may have made some wrong choices, taken wrong turns, but he's certainly going to pay the cost of those choices now with that Tower card there for him. Okay, thank you very much, viewers.